You've been there. You just paid for your movie tickets and now you're standing at the concession counter staring at the menu. A large popcorn and a soda cost more than your lunch did. It feels like a shakedown, a blatant ripoff. It's the one thing everyone knows about movie theaters. The snacks are a scam. But what if I told you that $9 popcorn isn't just overpriced corn? It's the rent payment. It's the electricity bill. It's the only reason that theater can afford to show you the movie in the first place. Because most of your ticket money, it never even touches the theater's bank account. Once you see where that money really goes, the whole game changes, and you'll never look at that butter pump the same way again. The easy answer is greed. We all say it. They've got a captive audience. Highway robbery. It's a simple villain story, and the theater owner with the sticky floors is the perfect bad guy. It makes sense on the surface. You can't bring in your own food, so you're forced to pay their prices. But that story is wrong, or at least it's missing the main character. The real action isn't at the concession stand. It's in the contract signed in Hollywood months before the movie posters even go up. The theater isn't the one getting rich on your ticket, at least not when it counts the most. Here's the secret. When a studio, say Disney or Warner Brothers, gives a movie to a theater, they don't sell it for a flat fee. They take a percentage of every single ticket sold. This is called the film rental. And for a big blockbuster in its opening weeks, that percentage is huge. We're talking 60, sometimes even 65%. So for every $12 you spend on a ticket, more than $7 can go straight back to the studio before the theater sees a dime. Think about that. The theater provides the multi-million-dollar building, the giant screen, the incredible sound system, the staff to sell you the ticket and clean the floors, and the studio, which just provides the digital file, gets the majority of the revenue from the main event. This wasn't always the business model. Back in the golden age of Hollywood, the major studios owned the theaters. They controlled everything from production to projection in a system called vertical integration. But in 1948, a landmark Supreme Court case, United States versus Paramount Pictures, broke it all up. The government declared it a monopoly and forced the studios to sell their theater chains. Suddenly, cinema owners were independent businesses. They had to figure out a new way to survive without the studio's deep pockets. They had to make their money on their own terms. And they found the answer right behind the ticket booth, in butter, sugar, and salt. Now, that 65% cut doesn't last forever. The deal is usually on a sliding scale. In week 2, the studio's share might drop to 55%. By week 4, maybe it's 40%. This is designed to incentivize theaters to keep playing a film even after the opening crowds die down. But here's the catch in the modern blockbuster era. Movies make almost all their money in the first 2 weeks. The opening weekend is everything. So theaters are paying the highest rental rates during their busiest period. The money flows out of the building fastest, right when it's coming in fastest. For the theater, it's like trying to fill a bucket that has a giant hole in the bottom, but only for the first few minutes you use it. This pressure came to a head in 2017 with Disney's Star Wars: The Last Jedi. The terms they reportedly demanded were legendary in the industry. Not only did they want that 65% cut of the ticket sales, but they also required theaters to play the film in their largest auditorium for a minimum of 4 straight weeks. If a theater broke those terms, say by moving it to a smaller screen in week 3 to make room for another movie, they faced an additional 5% penalty, bumping the studio's take to a staggering 70%. For a small independent theater, these terms were crushing. They were forced to dedicate their best real estate to a film where they kept less than 35 cents on the dollar from the ticket, all while turning away other films. It put all the pressure to turn a profit on one place, the concession stand. Let's do the math on that. Your $12 ticket minus that 65% for the studio leaves $4.20. Take out sales tax, and the theater is lucky to clear $4. Now let's look at a $7 combo, a large popcorn and a soda. The cost of goods for that combo, the corn kernels, the oil, the salt, the paper cup, the plastic lid, the straw, and the fountain drink syrup, is maybe 75 cents. The gross profit on that one combo is over $6. That's right. The theater makes more profit from you buying a drink and some popcorn than they do from you buying a ticket to the biggest movie of the year. That's not a side business. That's the entire business model. This isn't an accident. It's a brilliant piece of economic engineering. The official term for this is a two-part tariff, but a better name is a desire meter. The first part is the ticket. The theater and studio keep this price relatively accessible on purpose. They want everyone to be able to walk in the door, the student on a budget, the family of four, the casual moviegoer. If tickets were $30, most of them wouldn't come. The second part is the concession stand. This is where they meter your willingness to pay more. Are you on a first date, a superfan seeing it in IMAX, or just someone who loves the full experience? You'll buy the snacks. By charging a fortune for popcorn, the theater separates the casual viewers from the diehards without ever asking for your income. It's price discrimination in disguise. And theaters desperately need that high-margin profit because running a cinema is brutally expensive. Picture a 16-screen multiplex on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. There might be 15 people in the entire building, but the rent on that massive commercial space is still due. The payroll for the manager, the projectionist, and the kid at the counter still has to be met. The thousands of dollars in electricity to power the air conditioning and those incredibly hot, bulb-chewing digital projectors is still ticking up. These are fixed costs. They don't change whether the movie is a sold-out smash or an empty room flop. The ticket revenue is volatile and mostly goes to someone else. The steady, reliable profit from concessions is what pays those relentless, unglamorous bills. This economic reality is behind the biggest changes you've seen in theaters. Those fancy leather recliners, the reserved seating, the bars serving cocktails and craft beer, that wasn't just about comfort. It was a strategic pivot to increase per capita spend. A recliner makes you feel like you're having a premium experience, which makes you feel better about ordering a $16 gourmet flatbread. A cocktail has an even higher margin than a soda. They transform the theater from a place you just watch a movie into a place you have a full evening out, competing with restaurants. And it worked. Major chains now report food and beverage spending per guest in the $7, $8, even $9 range, growing much faster than ticket prices. Quick pause. If you're enjoying this look at the hidden money map under everyday life, take a second to subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive. Okay, back to the economics of your night out. Once you see this model, you see it everywhere. It's called the razors and blades strategy. The story goes that Gillette sold the razor handles for cheap, or even gave them away, to lock you into buying a lifetime of their expensive, proprietary blades. Video game consoles like the PlayStation or Xbox are often sold at a loss because Sony and Microsoft make their real money on the $70 games. Your printer was a steal, but the ink costs more per ounce than vintage champagne. Free-to-play mobile games let everyone in, but they make a fortune from the small percentage of players who spend hundreds on in-game items. The model is always the same. Keep the entry price low to get everyone in the door, and then make your real profit on the consumables. The cinema is just one of the oldest and purest examples. So here is the final, counterintuitive twist. When you sneak a bag of candy into the theater, you're not just sticking it to the man. You're actually undermining the very thing that keeps ticket prices from being higher for everyone. If we all collectively stopped buying concessions tomorrow, the business model would shatter. Theaters would have only two choices. Jack up ticket prices dramatically to cover their costs. We're talking $25 or $30 a seat, or simply shut their doors for good. In a very real way, every $9 bucket of popcorn is a subsidy for every person who just buys a ticket. The snack bar is holding up the whole building. That's the real reason movie popcorn costs so much. It's not a simple cash grab. It's a sophisticated business model born out of a decades-old court case. The studio gets the first, biggest bite of your ticket. So the theater has to live off the second, more profitable bite at the counter. And that same logic is working behind the scenes everywhere, once you know how to look for it. If this breakdown helped you see the math behind the movies, hit the like button. And for more hidden economics of your everyday life, make sure you're subscribed. See you at the next show.